swings. The S&P 500 rose 0.4% higher. The Dow slipped 0.2%, and the Nasdaq Composite rose 0.8%. Oracle jumped to help lead the market after delivering better profit and revenue for the latest quarter than analysts had expected. Gains for several influential big tech stocks also helped. They offset drops for banks following several discouraging comments from executives at an industry conference. Crude oil prices continue to tumble. The Dow was down 92 points to finish at 40,736. The Nasdaq gained 141 to 17,025. The S&P 500 was up 24 to 54.95. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds are rolling in, but we will stay dry. The low temperature dips to 62. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. The high is 84. And then Thursday, our rain chances do start. 30% chance of showers in the afternoon to go with a high of 80. Shower chances double on Friday and Saturday, up to 60%, while high temperatures continue to hover in the low 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. I said to, genius.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Talk Media Network. It's a Talking Tuesday. Shane Beamer doing the talking today. Dabo Sweeney off today from a media standpoint since they are off, though he did talk with the media last night while we were on the air. We brought you some information from that. We'll bring you a little Dabo tonight, but Beamer is in the spotlight because the Gamecocks are in the spotlight because they beat Kentucky, and now they are Destiny's darlings. I mean, it's like Gamecock mania out there. You got all these national shows coming to town Saturday. You've got all these recruits coming to Columbia Saturday. You got all this hype built up over the Gamecocks for this Saturday, Chris Bergen. I don't know. Are they worthy of that? They did beat Kentucky. Okay. Well, I mean, does that crown them as all of a sudden SEC contenders because they won in Lexington?
Well, they do lead the league now.
True that.
They're the lone unbeaten team in the SEC. But I wonder, too, if Game Day were not coming to Columbia on Saturday, how many of the other shows would migrate over? Game Day has a trail of followers that go wherever they are. So my guess is if Carolina were not hosting Game Day, you probably wouldn't see as many other shows there. And the other aspect, and this is not a knock on the Gamecocks because what they did on Saturday at Kentucky was awfully impressive. But if you look at the landscape of college football on Saturday, there aren't a whole lot of other attractive games inside the top 25. Maybe Alabama, Wisconsin, that would have been one. Maybe go to Wisconsin might have been the other one. But I'm not so sure many people think that's going to be competitive. That may have played into this as well. It may be one of the more competitive, high-level games on Saturday.
Yeah, maybe. This will be the 8th time that the ESPN Game Day program has come to Columbia. The Gamecocks have won 3 times previously. So, I mean, you know, when Game Day comes to town, it's because you got a quality opponent coming in to face you, and you've got to kind of live up to that opponent. Now, this LSU team, of course, they lost to Southern Cal out in Las Vegas to open the season. Then they beat Nicholls State at home last weekend. And as we talked about yesterday, and Shane Beamer reaffirmed it today, that offensive line the Tigers have, Chris, it's the real deal. 2 big-time tackles, and you wonder how effective South Carolina's ends can be coming off the edge now with those two guys, how much will LSU just lean on their offensive line to block the Gamecocks? Will the Gamecocks have to do more stunning, more blitzing? Will LSU try to compensate by keeping a back end or using a tight end to chip the defensive end coming off the edge? I mean, they've had their way with 9 sacks through the first 2 games. I mean, can they have another 4 or 5 sack afternoon? I don't know that Nussmeier, he's a pretty good runner. I think he's a passer first. I think they want to strike down the field. I think they want to use those receivers because they have talented receivers. I think they want to go that route first and foremost. But so that means he should be a target for them back in that pocket if they can. One thing they did in those first 2 games was collapse the pocket. They really collapsed the pocket of those offensive linemen those first 2 games. Can they do that against an offensive line of this quality?
They'll have to. And Nussmeier, you were being kind when you said he's an okay runner. He's accounted for 13 yards in 2 games on the ground. No, he is a passer first for sure. 8 touchdowns and 1 pick so far this season. He's completing 75% of his passes. The Gamecocks cannot allow him to stand back there behind that offensive line and have time to throw. They've got to continue to do what they've done, and Dylan Stewart has done a tremendous job along with Kennard on the other side of, as you pointed out, collapsing the pocket and pushing the offensive lineman back into the quarterback and making it extremely difficult. But I thought something that Shane Beamer said today, and I'm sure it's in your audio that you brought back from the press conference, was interesting. Excuse me. How he said they do advanced scouting of every team, obviously, and they will label every position, every unit. And he said the 2 tackles that LSU has are both elite guys. And he said you may see that one time a year, just one player, not to mention 2. So that gives you an idea of what kind of respect the Carolina's coaching staff has for the offensive line of LSU. I think that's probably where the game's going to be won. Can USC's defensive line get enough pressure against that offensive line of LSU? If not, it might be a long afternoon for the Gamecocks.
Okay, we'll talk more about this matchup, and we'll take your phone calls. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. See who else wants to join Gamecock Larry, who's already in line, who wants to fall in line behind Gamecock Larry and try and follow up on his upcoming 90 seconds of airtime. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you right here on Sports Talk. So we'll hear from Shane Beamer from today. He did his half-hour thing. We heard from some players earlier, and there was no major news breaking coming out of his comments today. Just to, he feels good. He felt like they prepared extremely well for Kentucky. That's why he was confident going into that game. He believes you prepare well, then you should play well. And he felt like they had a good practice today. Didn't practice Monday. Had a good practice today. They want to build on that the rest of the week and then lay it out on the line there. I mean, here you are. If you're South Carolina, if you manage to pull off the upset, 9.5-point underdog, if you manage to pull off the upset, you're sitting there 3-0, 2-0 with Akron coming to town. So you're looking square. If you can win Saturday, you're looking square at a 4-0, 2-0 start. And I mean, I think some people might think the end of the world's going to follow if the Gamecocks get to that point. That appeared to be so unachievable at the beginning of the season, but that's very achievable after watching this team play. I think Lenore Sellers and the offense will take another step forward on Saturday.
It has to. Yeah, it has to.
Well, I just think they're going to, as they play more and more together and get into more of a rhythm, I think you're going to see more and more production. Now, not like this LSU defense is something you can just line up against and run through like Swiss cheese. They're going to be formidable, but I think that that was a veteran, big defensive group that they just played against. Now, they didn't have a ton of yards, but they made big plays down the field. So, they didn't put together long established drives, but they made big plays down the field. I think they can do the same thing against this LSU team.
Well, what you hope is, if you're South Carolina, that your run game continues to develop. And this is an LSU team that's giving up about 110 yards a game on the ground, 262 through the air, though. And so that's where you're probably going to have to make your hay. Lenore Sellers is going to have to continue to improve as a passer and figure out a way, maybe not to the degree, I'd have to go back and check to see how many of those 262 yards per game were accounted for by Southern Cal and their offense. But nonetheless, I think you can probably throw a little bit against LSU. It may be more difficult to run it, but you've got to still try and stay balanced and get that run game going. It's still a work in progress, as Shane Beamer pointed out.
Well, I think the stat of the week is this. And it's only through 2 games, so, you're in a tie with a number of teams until you separate. But in the NCAA statistics this week, South Carolina is number 3 nationally in sacks. And LSU is number 1 nationally in preventing sacks.
Yep.
So, getting to the quarterback will be key. Protecting the quarterback will be key. And we'll see which one is better at doing what they've done best so far in the first 2 games of this season. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. Let's go ahead and jump to some phone calls as
Before
promised.
we do that, if I
Yes.
may, I do want to point out a story we need to get to today that I believe, if it plays out, may be the end of college athletics. There's a story out today that several former Michigan Wolverines players have filed a class action lawsuit against the NCAA to get back pay for name, image, and likeness. If this nonsense is allowed to go to court and if it's ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, I don't see a way that college athletics can survive. I mean, where will it stop?
Yeah. I don't think this is not the first group to do this. Or
No.
maybe this is the follow-up on the initial story. I remember this had been talked about previously, and you're right. If these guys are successful, and this is going back to 2016, if these guys are successful, so you're talking about going back 8 years. I mean, who
Where
else
will it
can
stop?
Yeah, who else can step up and say, because precedent is now set if they win in court. This will go into court. If it goes into court, it will drag on for years and years, I bet you, because there'll be appeals, there'll be this, there'll be that. Just to give you the details, I've got the story right here in front of me. 4 ex-Michigan Wolverines, including All-American Braylon Edwards and Denard Robinson, filed a class action lawsuit seeking more than $50 million in unlawfully denied name, image, and likeness money. So the question becomes, I mean, it's like a law that is implemented in 2022 that made something illegal that had been legal in the past. So now, because it's now a law in say 2022, 2023, do you go back and does it criminalize everybody who was doing it prior to that law being codified, and can you go back and be arrested for something that was legal back when you were doing it, and all of a sudden now it's illegal? So what they're saying here is they're saying unlawfully denied. Well, I mean, there was nothing. There was no law. There were no laws in place,
right,
regarding NIL when they played. So I don't know if you can go back and if it's logical to even think that you can go back and refund every athlete that came through college from how many more years you want to go back through, say 2021 when NIL burst on the scene.
And how in the world did they come up with this $50 million figure? Or is that just a round big number that they wanted to throw out? Did they actually go back and prove how much Denard Robinson would have been worth?
No, their attorneys, each one is looking to buy a yacht. And so they figured my yacht's going to cost $2 million. His yacht's going to cost $2 million. That's $4 million. We're going to get our 12%. So let's throw $50 million out there, and you'll come away with something. We'll get our yachts, and everybody will be happy. No, you're right. I mean, that is a significant. That's a significant story from the standpoint of it's there now. Is this just some sort of? Is this just going to be dismissed as some meaningless lawsuit? We'll have to wait and see. But right now, I guess it's got some teeth to it.
Well, and, to show you just how ridiculous this is from a money perspective, let's take it one step further to basketball, let's say. Should the family of Pete Maravich and his estate go sue the NCAA because there was no 3-point line when he played, and figure out, superimpose the 3-point line in to try and figure out how many shots he actually took through his career outside what would have been a 3-point line, and add those points to his point total?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
It is absolute insanity. And I believe, if, like I said earlier, if this is allowed to go to court and they rule in favor of Robinson and Braylon Edwards and those guys, it will be the end of college athletics, because there's no way any university, any conference can survive the amount of lawsuits that'll be following, wanting their piece of the pie.
Yeah. Of course, now, going back in the summer, the news came out that these major schools were starting to budget, including in their line item budgets, money to prepare themselves for these lawsuits and to prepare themselves for back pay to pay the athletes. They were setting aside, they were budgeting like $20 million.
Right. But that's just a handle going back to 2016. Phil, this will go back infinity.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll go all the way back to when Army was winning national championships in football.
Yeah.
If those guys are still around. Hey, we didn't get paid.
Yeah. The further thought on that, they're preparing themselves to give the money to the NCAA so the NCAA can pay off the lawsuit that it's losing, and they're calling on their schools, of course, to fork over the money to help pay that loss that's going to be coming their way. So, but you're right, that's going to be a significant event in college sports if it goes to court and if they win. Okay, now to the phone calls. 888-898-2525 is our phone number. We got about 10 minutes before we hit the first break of the night, so we welcome in your phone calls. And leading us off, 90 seconds with Gamecock Larry. Larry, welcome in. Hope you're feeling well today.
Feeling good. Lord, I thank the Lord I'm old. Football has changed. But let me tell you, I'm sitting here listening to Phil. Seems like he's building up the Gamecock. But he's talking about he can't get used. I'll tell you what's wrong with him. He just can't understand why the Gamecocks is getting all this publicity and Clemson ain't getting much for running up the score on the Division II team.
Yeah, that was mean of them.
But let me tell you, you done messed me up. Let me tell you something. LSU, Bayou Billy, bring it on. We are ready. Give me 17. I don't need them. We're going to take to the what's said. We're going to be 3-0. 2 down, 10 to go. 12-0 in 2024. Love y'all. Go Gamecock. Bring it on, Bayou Billy. Bring it on. Ready for you.
You're ready. One thing about, and thank you, Larry, appreciate it. Gamecock Larry, he's always looking for a fight. I imagine back in his day, Chris, that when he was a younger fellow, he got into many a brawl at bars he frequented wherever he happened to be.
It's very possible, and I would imagine that mentality probably helped him when he was serving in the Army. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's told us he served in the United States military. So, you kind of want that sort of mindset. But, yeah, you're right. He'll call up anybody. What, last week it was Wildcat Will. They all have sort of the same, letters up in front. Wildcat Will, Bayou Bill.
Gamecock Larry. All right, our poll question of the week is about the Gamecocks this time. It's presented by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance in Columbia. Larry's number is 803-799-1998. That's 803-799-1998. Beginning of the week, the Gamecocks 9.5-point underdogs to LSU this Saturday in Columbia with an over of 54.5. What's the play? 273 votes. We got 54% who say they'll take the Gamecocks in the 9.5. I think I will do that. I think I'll fall into that category. I think I'll take the 9.5. I might even go deeper as the week goes on. We shall see.
Well, it's already dropped in some places to 6.5. So at what point are you going to cut it off for our weekly picks? Are we going to get the 9.5, or are you going to wait until the line drops down to about 4.5?
No, I don't wait. It just happens whenever. Like if I do it tonight, it'll be whatever it is tonight.
Gotcha.
If I do it tomorrow, it'll be whatever it is tomorrow.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there's evidently a lot of money on the USC side of this.
absolutely. 23.4% say play the under. 54.5. Yeah. It's about a 27 24 kind of thing. That's 51 points. So I think playing the under might be the smart move as well. 19.4% believe LSU take the points, lay the points. I'm sorry, not take the points, lay the points, take LSU. And 3.3% say play the over. So most seem to think it's going to be a game played, if it's competitive, in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you could take the under and somebody win, 47-6 or something like that, and you finish under. But I don't think it's going to be like that. I think this Gamecock team has, and we'll know more. We'll know a lot more. I think we'll know the destiny of this Gamecock football team after Saturday. They played a less than satisfactory game against Old Dominion, but managed to win that game. And then they raised their level of performance at Kentucky and won that game impressively. And now they're going to have to raise their level even more. If they're able to do that and pull off the win or play a very competitive game and, come up just a little bit short, I think we'll have a real true reading on this Gamecock football team, Chris. And I think it'll kind of tell us what this season's going to be like for them. They have that devilish stretch.
Right.
They have that devilish stretch of Oklahoma, of Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Alabama. So, they're going to take their lumps somewhere down the road. They're going to take their lumps somewhere down the road, and it might be lumpy right in there. Of those three right now, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Alabama, I can't see them winning any of those three as of today. I just
the Ole
think
Miss
those
game
teams
may be
are
the most difficult of the three.
Well, with two of them being on the road, Ole Miss at home, but Ole Miss's ability to just, score. Of course, now they haven't, not to take anything away from Furman, but Furman's not Furman. Furman's 0-2. They beat Furman like a redheaded stepchild. Sorry, Pat Daniel. But they beat them like they should have. And then, they won again last week. Didn't play a strong opponent last week, I don't believe. So they're about to step up in competition a little bit. Still, that with Jackson Dart and outstanding receivers, they can throw and catch probably as good as anybody, if not better than anybody in the country. That's going to be really tough, putting pressure on the quarterback. But the thing about Dart is he runs extremely well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a very talented quarterback, maybe the best in the SEC. But here's the other aspect of the LSU game. Carolina finds a way to win on Saturday and then does not stub their toe against Akron. You're talking about a week off and then hosting Ole Miss probably at night. That game right now set in that flex position. If Carolina's 4-0, and they'd probably be ranked at that point in time, and Ole Miss is certainly going to be, that's a night game for sure. And that's a huge advantage normally for the Gamecocks.
Look at this week's rankings. The Gamecocks will be playing, let's see, of course they're playing a ranked team this week in LSU, which is ranked 16th. Mm-hmm. And when you look down the road here at what's coming up and what they're facing, they are going to be facing number 4, number 5, number 6, number 4, 5, 6, and number 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, and 15. 4, 5, 6, 15, 16. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 15, 16 coming up on their schedule. That's just bloody difficult. Bloody difficult. We'll see where they are and see if they're, capable of surviving. It's going to be survival for them when they hit the meat of their schedule. Let's go to the phones again. And Scott is with us. We don't know where, but he is with us. Welcome in, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for taking my call. Enjoy your show. Just,
Thank you. Where are you calling from? Where are you calling from, Scott?
Fort Charlotte.
From Fort Charlotte?
Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte. Charlotte. Thought I heard a fort in there. Charlotte, we
right.
got you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just, nice win after we were all at the Old Dominion game and saw what that looked like, which whatever. But I wish, and I like Coach Beamer and I support him, but I just wish he wouldn't make comments about the media in the post game about the false narrative. I mean, we looked really bad against Old Dominion, and we beat Kentucky, enjoyed the win, and move on. But all out the media just is a lose-lose. And I wish his dad or someone would take him inside and say, you know what, you got to develop thick skin, son, and know that they're always going to be talking about you, and don't worry about it because it doesn't work that way. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I certainly agree with you there. I think it's never good to pick a fight with the media. That never eventually works in your favor. I think you need to. I don't think you need to kiss the media's backside, but currying favor with the media is always a smart move. And I also kind of think.
Right.
I think that, I think Beamer, he does a pretty good job of maintaining a balance with his emotions. I think the best one I've ever been around at maintaining a balance with his emotions, not riding the roller coaster of a win or a loss, was Spurrier. And
no, I was just going to say.
Hang on, Scott. We got to run to a break. We got to run to a break, Scott, and I will come right back to you. If you'll hang on, we'll let you finish. I want to hear more what you got to say. We got to hit this break on Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds are rolling in, but we will stay dry. The low temperature dips to 62. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. The high is 84. And then our rain do start. 30% chance of showers in the afternoon to go with a high of 80. Shower chances double on Friday and Saturday, up to 60%, while high temperatures continue to hover in the low 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200-person event center just 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armory Outdoor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill Road in Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. That's facebook.com/PSA Outdoor.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are gearing up to take the stage for Tuesday night's debate in Philadelphia, where they'll fight to sway 2024 election voters on the biggest stage in U.S. politics. The event at 9 p.m. Eastern will offer Americans their most detailed look at a campaign that's dramatically changed since the last debate in June. The ABC presidential debate will be simulcast live tonight on the Salem Radio Network. House Speaker Mike Johnson is vowing to press ahead with requiring proof of citizenship for new voters as part of a bill to avoid a partial government shutdown. He's doing so even though the measure appears likely to be voted down. Johnson says the issue of election security is too critical to ignore. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 92 points. The Nasdaq rose 141. This is SRN News.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest Call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money, they unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Now at hnjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at hnjcattleco. Again, hnjcattle.co, where ethics meets quality.
Founders Federal Credit Union believes in empowering future generations, helping to provide our youth a smart start as they begin their financial journey. Discover Smart Start by Founders. Start off with a Smart Start savings with a low minimum balance of just $5. Teach responsible spending with a free debit card, text alerts, and no minimum balance. Jumpstart a lifetime of saving and investing with a Smart Start 12-month certificate featuring flexible deposits. Start with just $100 and add more deposits at any time. Finally, dive in deeper with fun educational resources. Is excited to team up with you with resources and support to give our youth a smart start towards a brighter future. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smart start. That's foundersfcu.com/smart start. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey, Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-813. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Meet me at the London. If you find time, we can run one. Talk about some things we can undo. You just in the pen, I can find you. 6'1" on the money, 9'2". You just say the word and I run through. 2 texts, no reply, that's when I knew. Yeah.
Back we are, Sports Talk. We are Sports Talk, Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblut here in Columbia with Josh Cohen and Chris Bergen at the Berge Palace in beautiful All-American City of Sardis. How many All-American City recognitions has Sardis received over the years?
Well, I think every time that Kelly Yarborough
won a race,
God rest his soul, celebrates a birthday either while he was still alive or now posthumously, we get another notch on the belt of an All-American City. But an All-American guy is our hero here in Sardis.
Absolutely. Phone number, 888.
We get to catch up on a little NASCAR later on tonight.
Yes, Josh Harris will be with us. It is Tuesday night. We'll catch up on NASCAR after the first race of the playoffs in Atlanta. But let's go back to Scott, who was with us as we hit the break, and he was in Charlotte. And so we welcome you back into the program, sir. Going back to what you were saying, just to follow up, and going back to what you were saying and what I was saying as we hit the break. Yeah, again, I think it's Deion Sanders is another prime example of that, because right now he can't back up all the jaw flapping he's been doing and all the fighting he's been doing with the media there in Denver. I mean, when you're not backing it up, when you're not winning games, then you kind of look foolish. In Shane's in Beamer's case, I think that I think he generally has a good relationship with the media. They all seem to like him. The national media seems to like him. When you win, everybody has a positive view of you when you're winning. When you're losing, of course, you come across an entirely different way. So, but as far as what he said about the only thing, his comments after the game, he said, there were some people in the media or in the public or outside who were using a lazy narrative, is how he put it. It was lazy to take the ODU game and use that as an example of the team. But as somebody pointed out, it might have been you, Chris, we might have been
yes,
talking.
let us come watch practice then.
Yeah.
Let us go watch scrimmages.
I mean,
so we have a better idea.
It was the only view that most people
Mhm.
had. Some people got a chance to watch him in practice.
That's all we have to go on.
Yeah, so he could go on.
College football.
The only thing I would say, and I said it last week, was don't judge this team by that first game.
Well, of course not. But I mean, just like anything else in today's society, right or wrong, it's a week-to-week referendum. Even if you win but play bad in the loss, it's going to be negative. But you can't. It's a week-to-week referendum, and you can't respond. I just think he needs to develop some thicker skin and ignore it. I think it's a bad look for him and the university. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: he is probably as active on X as any head coach in the country. And
then he needs to stop that.
He reads stuff. He reads stuff. Yeah. He congratulates people. Oh, he reads everything. He'll if somebody in the local media is there and he's read a story and he's liked it, he'll acknowledge it to that writer. He will on X, he'll acknowledge somebody's birthday, or he's very active in that area, and probably because that's the era he has grown up in as a coach. He also recognizes the value of that from a recruiting standpoint, because recruits see him on X and he can interact with them, and
that's fine. But I think we're talking about two different things. I think social media is what it is, and you can love it or hate it. But to just come in there after a big win, just say, you know what, we played much better this week. I knew we had it in us. We got a long season ahead, and each week it's a whole new ball game each week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too old and just wouldn't say stuff.
No,
like
I understand
that.
where you're
But
coming
anyway,
from. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thank you very much. Keep in touch. Good hearing from you.
Yeah, the lazy narrative thing bothered me as well, because that's just unfair. That was the only narrative we were able to craft after watching the Old Dominion game, and it was wrong. And I think everybody, except for you, Phil, because you called it. But I admitted yesterday I was way wrong. But now that we have a bigger sample size, you'll start getting more accurate narratives. But yeah, I agree with Scott. I think that was a poor take on his part to call out the media and say lazy narratives. But I understand why he does it. He's not talking to us in the media. He's talking to his team and his fan base, and that's what he's supposed to do. But I would agree with you. I think he should take the Dabo Swinney approach and not be on social media at all. But, I mean, that's his right.
Yeah.
He's a private citizen of the United States. He has every right, just like you and I do, to be on Twitter. And if he chooses to do so, more power to him.
I would not be anywhere near X if I didn't have to be.
Oh, my gosh, no.
I'd be as
Yeah,
far away
exactly.
from that if I didn't have to, look in it for – I use it only for work purposes. I don't for me, it's not an outlet to tell you where I'm having lunch or where I went on vacation or what anybody in my family is doing. I don't think anybody cares. Personally, I don't think, and it's also not, to me, one thing that really exasperates me about mature media people, and I mean, some of the big names in the media business act like children on X when they are watching a football game and believe that they've got to express an opinion out there about something they just saw simply because of who they think they are, and they think that their minions want to know exactly what's going through their heads. Where did we learn this in journalism? Where did we learn that you have to express your opinion on really a wide variety of topics that you think people care what you think about on everything that's happening in that particular field, whether it's the sports field, the political field, the business field, whatever genre you happen to be a so-called expert in. And that, I think sometimes you just got to turn it off. And there's too many people in our business who feel like, they got to keep shoving it down your – of course, now, look, you don't have to read it. You don't have to follow a person. And I guess I do kind of have control over our X, and I've stopped following some accounts simply because of the fact that they're just too over the top. They're too over the top as fanboys or girls sometimes. They're just too over the top and always expressing an opinion about something, All right, 888-898-2525 is the phone number here on Sports Talk. We continue with your phone calls on this Talking Tuesday. It's Hank in Columbia time. Hello, Hank. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn.
Corn, I kind of disagree with the last guy. I agree with him that you don't pick fights with the media and go back and forth with the media. But I thought he was pretty much measured in his comments, because after the ODU game, if you watch some shows on TV, you listen to some on the radio, you looked at what was being said on Twitter and social media, and if you didn't know the score of the game, you had a lot of people talking about their loss, almost like they lost. And not only that, there were some folks saying, "Oh, they might win 2 more games the rest of the year. They might win one. Vanderbilt looked good against Virginia Tech." And so I think he said that exactly for what you said. All that crap that's out there when folk are saying after one game that none of these guys are D1 talent and just the wrong quarterback, this, that, and the third, you can say for the coach to ignore it, but those players are going to read it and see it.
But you know what?
And when they read it and see it, this is my thing. When they read it and see it, yes, they can say, "Oh, we're going to go and do something different about it." Or we have seen before where players have really, and I mean, it's nice for the coach to say, "Just don't pay attention, don't pay attention to it." But we've seen players get in it basically with fans on Twitter back and forth. So sometimes your players need to hear that your coach has a little bit of your back instead of, "Well, we just going to sit here and we're going to just take this."
I saw a tweet where Kyle Kennard went after a writer for 24/7 who covers the Gamecocks. And
that guy was wearing the team out for 3 or 4 days too.
Well, that's my point. That's my point.
Expert.
Everybody missed the point, but it wasn't just the media. The fans did as well. They didn't need the media's insight to be slashing up the Gamecocks after that ODU game. I mean, just go listen to any sports talk show or look at any message board. I mean, they were ripping Beamer to pieces, the coaching staff to pieces, even some of your writers, from your favorite Gamecock websites were questioning Dowell Loggins and what's Clayton White? What's Clayton White doing?
We should have cut White loose last year.
Yeah, I mean, so but I mean, in this particular case, Beamer chose to call out what he called the lazy narratives of the media, not the lazy takes of the fans. Because as a coach, you can't ever criticize your fan base.
Yeah, but he was asked a question by the on-field reporter when he said that. And if you go back and listen to the frame of the question, it was almost like nobody believed y'all could do anything coming in here.
Well, I mean, they were 9.5-point underdogs.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying when you get asked that question and you say nobody believes in you, to me, his thing about, it's a lazy narrative, it's probably saying, we know what we had in here, which I think he followed it up with. We knew what we had in here. And I think it was just based off of one game, and it was lazy.
Well, I think what Scott was saying is that it was, when you have a great moment like that, why point blame? Why bring up a negative and point blame at a segment? Whether it's the media, the fan base. Just talk about how nobody thought we could do it, and we did it. Nobody thought we could win this game, and we came in here and we dominated. And, don't worry about what happened with the ODU game or worry about what the takes were of the ODU game. Celebrate that moment of a great victory without throwing a negative in there. I'm just assessing what I think he was saying.
I see what you said, but he got the question. And people were going to, you didn't have to throw the question at him like that, but he got the question. And I can see that he was probably speaking more so his team understands that going forward. And you can say it all you want to in the locker room, but we've known you can almost see a groundswell when things go negative here or even at Clemson. I heard somebody say something about Dabble, but remember Dabble on that during rant. Don't tell me he don't listen to what people say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's just my thought. I thought that I just have a different thing. I think sometimes you got to speak for your team as much in the media as loud as the media speaks against your team sometimes.
All right. So
or
thank
not
you.
media. Let's say media and fans. I won't put it all on media.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Great hearing from you. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. We'll continue with your phone calls after this break. As we go to break, I remind you that despite the argument from Mr. Bergen, the fall is a wonderful time to go to the beach. Maybe it's not as open and free to move around as it used to be. Maybe there are more people down there than there used to be this time of the year. Still, it's a great time.
That's not only a problem.
So call Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate, 843-237-4246. Let him plan your perfect beach getaway. Check it out as well at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Back in a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's a big hit. You and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com.
Touch Your G Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Last throw, big guy.
Come on, baby. I need me a giant bear.
I got this. I'm the target. Ben, throw.
Oh, well, look who won a giant bear.
That's a grizzly.
Oh, Mama's baby bear.
When you join the South Carolina Education Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Yeah, he's had all his shots. Just don't look him in the eye.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
All right, coming up, we'll hear from Shane Beamer. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney, Josh Harris, recruiting. All of that still coming your way on this Talking Tuesday edition of Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, Josh Cohen taking your phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We continue with your calls, and we go next to Ray in Elgin. Ray, good to have you with us tonight on Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm good, man. Really excited about the Gamecocks. Just going back to what the last caller was talking about.
Boy, I tell you, Paul Feinbaum kind of took Shane Beamer to school on the show. I know you guys do this show. Y'all can't hear what he said, but he pretty much had the same sentiment. He's like, you came off of a train wreck of a season last year. And, your opening game against ODU was, you won the game, but it was a lot left to be desired. He says, of course people are going to be critical. He said, as a journalist, if you weren't critical, then, you would be doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
He said, in the fan base, of course they weren't happy. He said, but then you had a big win, a huge win against Kentucky when you're a 10-point dog. He said, relish it, move on, but don't make comments like that. And, this is one time I probably agree with Paul Feinbaum, and I'm a big Beaver fan, but But, I mean, and I heard the last caller say it was based on one game. No, it's kind of based on last year. I mean, last year was a downtrodden season. It wasn't good at all. And then your first game, you play like that. And then we have a great win against Kentucky, and that gives us hope right there. So, I know Shane's going to be Shane. He wears his feelings on his sleeves, and that's who he is, and that's okay. But, people shouldn't get upset when people have a different opinion,
But I also got to say this. You make some great points. You got to make some great points. But and I'm not just talking Gamecock fan base. I'm talking about every fan base because everybody's gotten crazy, Chris. Everybody's gotten crazy. And that is fans have got to be more consistent as well. You just can't love a guy and a staff and a team when they win, and then you're ready to just flush them down the toilet when they lose a game or play poorly. I saw a story today where the quarterback at Auburn said in an interview after playing a poor game and them losing to Cal on Saturday, he said he was getting Venmo requests from people who wanted like their money back. Now, I don't know if he was talking about NIL dollars or ticket money back, but he was getting requests on Venmo for money to be sent back to people. Now, what does that mean?
Well, you've got a situation now, Phil, where fans are never more invested into college athletics than they've ever been. I mean, there's never been a time where universities have asked their fan base to pump in as much money for different reasons as they have right now. So I think fans feel like, hey, you guys work for me now. You better go perform. If not, we can find somebody else who will. I do think that's kind of funny, though, but I'm not surprised in the least.
Yeah, but you just can't. I mean, I understand, you get upset. Your team doesn't play well. Your team, my God, they lose a game, and you think the world is coming to an end. And, riding that roller coaster of emotions will wear you out through a season. I'm not saying don't get upset if your team loses. Certainly don't. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, people now look at these college players as professional athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And so
they are.
You can't tell them. In the past, it used to be don't boo them. They're just students. Right. And don't, boo the, like Jim Carlin used to say, boo me. Okay, Jim, we're booing you, the fans would say. We're booing you. Give George the ball more, whatever. Boo me. Don't boo my players. But I think fans, this new era of fans, because they're gambling so much on the games, they're putting money in the NIL, they expect to win every game. And if you don't go out and play like the 49ers do on most Sundays, they're going to rip into you. And they're going to express their emotions right there in the games now. And booing is going to be, very much a part of the scene in college football games, maybe more so than it's ever been.
Well,
all right.
You bring up a great point about gambling and social media and the like. I mean, how ridiculous was it we saw last week? There were odds on which would be the first coach to be fired, and Dabo Swinney was in the top 10.
Yeah.
After the loss to Georgia. Here's a guy who's won 2 national championships in the last decade. Yeah. He's not going anywhere. Clemson's not firing him.
No.
But all of a sudden, because they were horrible against Georgia, maybe the best team in the country, he's got odds on being fired, and not just fired, one of the first coach to be fired.
That's a lazy narrative.
That is a lazy narrative.
But here's the other thing that you and I and people of our generation and era have to understand in this new age of quote-unquote reporting. People put stuff, writers, they get paid by the clicks now. I mean, their editors at their newspapers, at their websites, they judge your value by how many followers you have, how many clicks you get on your tweets or in your story. So they will put the most outrageous thing out there to get people to read it and click on it, and then have a conversation where you got it going back and forth and you raise those number of clicks. I mean, that's how these folks are being judged today. So you got to understand what's being posted is somebody just posting something to get a reaction. They might not even believe what they're posting, but they know it'll get a rise out of people and it'll get them more clicks. That's how that game is being played.
Sure.
All right, we continue. Up to Anderson. Doug, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you? Hello, Mr. Doug.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a thought here. I've heard a lot of people talk about how in the world Carolina got game day this weekend. Here's a thought I've had, and I hadn't heard anybody else say it. It's ESPN's show. Last week, they had Michigan and Texas, which the game was on Fox. Probably the other biggest game this week would be Alabama and Wisconsin, which is also on Fox. I think it's just a matter of ESPN's not going to go out of their way to promote games on another network week in and week out.
Good point. I really believe from what I've read, I don't know anything, from what I've read, had Kentucky defeated South Carolina, with Georgia going to Kentucky this weekend, they would have gone to Kentucky. But when Kentucky lost, that blew up their plans to go to Lexington. And so you might be right. They wanted to find the next best SEC game and promote that on their network, and it would be this one. First place. That's right. I said it. First place, South Carolina against LSU. So
it's all about the money.
Oh, there's no question about that, and that's a great take on your part. A great point.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.
And it'll be real easy. I think Kirk Herbstreit is doing the game on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So all he's going to have to do is walk from his set upstairs into the press box, sit down, put his headset on, and boom. They don't have to fly him anywhere.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly right. I wonder if he'll have his dog with him.
I think Ben goes everywhere with him.
Yeah. Some people got upset about that. I read him. I read where he fired back at some people who were who were somehow offended by the fact that he has his dog with him at the ball games. I think it's cute. I think it's a cute thing. Okay, we'll be back. Shane Beamer coming up after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Tuesday's presidential debate will give Americans perhaps their most detailed look at a campaign that's been dramatically reshaped.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com.
For both of them, it's a high-pressure opportunity to showcase their starkly different visions for a country after a tumultuous campaign summer. Trump, a 78-year-old white man, has struggled to adapt to Harris, the first woman, black person, or person of South Asian descent to serve
Greg
as vice
Clugston
president.
in Philadelphia, where Vice President Harris, former President Trump will participate in their first debate and what could be their only face-to-face encounter during the race for the White House. There's been a change at the top of the Democratic ticket since the June debate, but polls still show a close presidential contest. And it's no accident that tonight's 90-minute debate is being held in a battleground state. 19 electoral votes are up for grabs here in Pennsylvania, a state seen as crucial to both campaigns. I'm Greg Clugston at the presidential debate in Philadelphia. Now with more news, here's Keith Peters.
The ABC presidential debate will be simulcast live tonight on the Salem Radio Network. The Israeli military has released video footage of a Gaza tunnel where it says 6 hostages were recently killed by Hamas. The video released Thursday shows a low, narrow passageway deep underneath that had no bathroom and poor ventilation. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 92 points, the Nasdaq rose 141, the S&P advanced 24. More at townhall.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no coverage at all. These days, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of the biggest expenses can be your car, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan. You could save thousands with one call to CarShield. Call 800-840-1546 now to see if you qualify. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Repairs for your engine, transmission, and more can become a thing of the past. Plus, call 800-840-1546 right now and get free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options. Call 800-840-1546 today and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Just call 800-840-1546 to see if your car qualifies. 800-840-1546. That's 800-840-1546. Again, 800-840-1546. Coverage varies by plans. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
House Speaker Myson has presented Congress's highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal, to 13 U.S. service members who were killed during the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. But the politics of a presidential election swirled around the event. Both Democrats and Republicans supported the legislation to posthumously honor the 13 U.S. troops. They were killed along with more than 170 Afghans in a suicide bombing at the Abbey Gate at Kabul's airport in August of 2021. The event took place against the backdrop of a bitter back and forth over who's to blame for the rushed and deadly evacuation from Kabul, Afghanistan. Officials over 140 Ukrainian drones targeting multiple Russian regions overnight, including Moscow and surrounding areas. More at Town Hall.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. The clouds are rolling in, but we will stay dry. The low temperature dips to 62. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. The high is 84. And then Thursday, our rain chances do start. 30% chance of showers in the afternoon to go with a high of 80. Shower chances double on Friday and Saturday, up to 60%, while high temperatures continue to hover in the low 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back. It is Sports Talk Media Network. Okay, it's a Talking Tuesday. So let's go to Shane Beamer, Gamecock head football coach. Before we get to his comments, he walked in a T-shirt to promote Curing Kids Cancer. South Carolina teaming up with Curing Kids Cancer for First and Gold campaign, supporting Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. As part of this nationwide effort to tackle pediatric cancer, South Carolina is set to join forces with Curing Kids Cancer for the 2024 First and Gold campaign for the 12th year in a row. Throughout the month of September, football teams across the state will rally to raise awareness and funds for pediatric cancer research. First and Gold campaign encourages football teams at all levels to dedicate a home game to the fight against childhood cancer. Participating teams will help raise awareness by donning special First and Gold gear and spreading the message of hope and support for families affected by pediatric cancer. And
Can't imagine anything worse.
Oh, no.
And, you know, that's something that Gary Gilmore, former baseball coach at CCU, that's something he is a big advocate of. You know, he's talked numerous times on this program about when he goes to Houston for his cancer treatments, one thing he has to do is walk through the Children's Hospital in Houston. And he said that's something he wants to see sort of expanded and into baseball. Remember, he was telling us that's going to be one of his missions in life moving forward, is to get baseball to do something similar to that.
Yeah, and Beamer, and talking about it before he got into his football remarks, mentioned that he and his wife and his foundation, they do a lot of work with this in Columbia, at the hospital in Columbia. I guess the Prisma Children's Hospital in Columbia. They are actively involved in this, and he was wearing the T-shirt today at his press conference. So great to hear that football organizations around the state, colleges, high schools, lower level, all getting involved and getting behind this. Okay, now to the football side of things with Shane Beamer coming off the win at Kentucky. 9.5-point dog there. 9.5-point dog to start off the week for this matchup with number 16, LSU. Here's Shane Beamer.
Excited about this week. Obviously, what an opportunity for us against a really talented, well-coached LSU team. Have a ton of respect for Brian Kelly and the success that he's had wherever he has been. My dad coached against him when he was at Cincinnati, and my dad was at Virginia Tech, and they coached against each other in the Orange Bowl. And I was on the opposite sidelines of him when I was at Georgia, and we played up at Notre Dame back in 2017, and Coach Kelly was the head coach at Notre Dame, and his teams have always been the same: tough, disciplined, physical, well coached, and this group is no different. They're really good on special teams. They got a dynamic returner that was a problem last year at Mississippi State, and now he's a problem at LSU. Defensively, they got athleticism and speed. That's what jumps off the tape. Size up front. Everybody knows about Perkins. He's everywhere that we got to account for. A great football player, but they've got guys that can disrupt things at all three levels of the defense. Offensively, really impressed with Nussmeier, the quarterback. He does not look like a first-time starter. He looks very poised and confident. He can make all the throws. I know they've had some injuries at running back, but they have talented guys back there that complement each other well. Really good tight end and Taylor. Talented group of receivers that have size, or aren't as big but have great quickness and speed. So a multitude of skill sets at the receiver position, and then arguably the best offensive line in the country. The two tackles are unbelievable. We do a advanced scouting report each week on every opponent, and we rate every player on the opponent's team. As we give them a grade, and the highest grade that you can give a player is elite/rare. And you might see that, I don't know, maybe once a year. Certainly those tackles have those grades from our standpoint. There's a reason they're going to be high draft picks, but like I told our players this morning, that's life in the SEC. So get used to it, fellas. There's going to be great players every single week that we face in this conference. And there's great players on our team now that opponents get to face every single week when they play us also. So I think it'll be a heck of a football game. I know it's going to be an amazing environment in Williams-Brice Stadium. We already had a bunch of recruits that wanted to come to this game before what happened in Kentucky and before game day announced they were coming. Now, I mean, we're having to turn people away. We got so many recruits that want to come to this game. So that'll be great. The environment with game day will be great. I would encourage everyone, please, 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 please get here early. We know traffic will be wild, to say the least, with everybody coming in for game day and a 12 noon kickoff. So leave in plenty of time, because we need pregame, we need game day, we need the pregame, the kickoff, 2001, all that. We don't need people filtering in because of traffic. So get up here early, start tailgating at 6 a.m., whatever you got to do. Yeah, so you're in here and you're ready to go, because this place needs to be rocking on Saturday. This will be their quarterback's first true road start. He started a bowl game. He started a neutral site game that was basically a home game for LSU out in Vegas, and then he started a home game last week. So he's a mature young man. He's been in big environments like that, but first time as a starting quarterback, we need to make life really difficult for him, our fans, and confident they will. What an opportunity to showcase Gamecock football, the University of South Carolina, the city of Columbia, the state of South Carolina with game day coming. It's a testament to our fans and this community that game day chose to come here. So like I told our players yesterday, this is going to be the first of many times that game day comes here for one of our football games. So we need to get used to it, and we're excited about the opportunity on Saturday. Have a big challenge, and had a good practice today, and can't wait to keep this thing rolling.
You've talked a lot about this offense kind of being a process and needing to gel, and it's just going to take some time with young players. Is there one thing, or maybe a couple, you kind of put your finger on as the next step for this offense? Just going week 1 to 2 to 3.
You got to eliminate the negative plays. We've had way too many negative plays in the first 2 games, and especially this week. We're playing a defensive coordinator that was at Missouri the last 3 seasons and frankly embarrassed us the last 3 seasons with the number of negative plays. I think in 3 games we've had like 8 sacks and 24 tackles for loss, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 3 years. So the thing for us is we've had too many of those negative yardage plays on offense, and we certainly can't come out of this game on Saturday having 8 negative yardage plays. If so, it probably hasn't gone well for us on Saturday. So that's the good thing. That's the big thing. They're going to make some plays. I'm not saying that. They got really good players. So we're probably not going to have there's probably going to be some negative yardage plays, but we just can't have them where it's every possession we've got negative yardage plays. Just efficiency, efficient runs. Not every pass is going to be a 50-yard explosive down the field, but just being able to have efficient passes and stay on schedule as an offense will be key this week. And that's, to me, that's kind of the next step that we got to get better at.
Yeah, along those same lines, Shane, how do you think this team is prepared to handle those things that you talked about? Because it's been kind of a crazy first couple of games between, the reaction from week 1 to the reaction now after the win.
I think so. I think we're prepared to handle it. We'll find out, but I feel like we have a very mature team in a lot of ways. Now, we're young in a lot of spots, particularly on offense, but we've got a lot of veterans that have been around here for a while on defense, and veterans like Kai Kroger and Kai Kroger and Hunter Rogers and Alex Herrera that have been around here for a long time, and veterans on offense like Luke Doty and Vershawn and Jakai that have been around here for a long time. So we got a lot of players that we're going to lean on them to really set the tone for our guys this week. And what we told our players is, that Kentucky game was huge, but we're either going to look back here at the end of the season and say, man, that Kentucky game was really huge because of what it propelled this football team to. And they took that win and they just continued to get better and use that momentum. Or we're going to look back at that Kentucky game and say, what an opportunity we wasted that we played like that. And then we sat around and drank the Kool-Aid all week and listened to all the pats on the backs that we're getting. And instead of getting ready to play a really physical, well-coached football team against LSU. So I feel like we're prepared. Practice today showed me that we're preparing the right way. And then the key for us is just going to be to continue to improve Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then just go turn it loose on Saturday.
LSU's defensive struggles last year pretty well documented, but I know it's a small sample size with just these last 2 games. What have you seen on tape that makes them different this year in these first 2 than they were last season when they struggled?
Yeah, haven't watched, other than just personnel, haven't watched a ton of last year's. I've watched more 2023 Missouri defense than 2023 LSU defense just because schematically we're going to see more Missouri. But certainly I watch it for personnel because they got a lot of the same players. I think the thing that jumps off tape is just the effort they play with. They've brought in not just Coach Baker from Missouri, but brought in Texas's defensive line coach and brought in some other people, and those guys are playing with great effort. There's a play against Southern Cal where Southern Cal double teams one of the defensive tackles for LSU, takes him to the ground, but then the D tackle gets up and he's the guy that makes the tackle for like a 2-yard gain. It's just the effort they're playing with. And then you can tell they have a lot of confidence in what they're doing. They've got good players, and they're out there playing with great confidence and playing fast and getting lined up and going and playing and utilizing their abilities.
I know 2 games is a small sample size, but it's usually taken over the last 10 years, 5 games for South Carolina to get to 10 sacks. What do you make of how y'all have gotten there? Has it just been talent level in increasing the talent level in that personnel, or is there something else?
I think that's a lot of it. we were better in that room than what we were last year. We're a year older, and we've added some players, and the players that returned are a year older, and that's been a huge part of it, obviously. But we knew that we needed. When you look back at last season, we didn't do a good enough job of generating pressure and creating our own negative plays and getting teams behind the chains. So we looked at some things, certainly schematically, about how to continue to generate pressure in the backfield on the quarterback or to create negative runs. Schematically, we've done some things, but a lot of it is just new personnel, and they've come in and done a great job for sure. And need to continue to. It's 2 games. We got a lot of football left. Dylan and Kyle and the rest of our edge guys aren't going to sneak up on anybody. That's for sure. So we got to make sure that teams are going to continue to do things to try and take those guys away. And that's great because I feel like we're better at the defensive tackle position and linebacker position and secondary position. We all saw us the other day. We brought Bakari on a pressure one time, and Jalen Kilgore and Kelvin Hunter are making some plays in the backfield on perimeter runs. So I like that group all together in general, and it's personnel, but some schematic tweaks too.
2 games in, and how much one-on-one blocking are you seeing on your defensive ends from opponent offensive lines? And considering how good LSU's offensive line is, are you contemplating that they'll just say, hey, we can handle these guys ourselves? Or are you contemplating that they might bring some help to their offensive linemen?
A little of both. Back to the first question, Kentucky was going to help their tackles some, and then they were going to leave those tackles alone at times. There's the clip I've seen when we showed it to the team the other day. I mean, there was one play where Kentucky tried to block Dylan Stewart with 3 different people, and he went through all 3 of them and made a play on the quarterback on a throwaway. So we're prepared for that. We knew that going into last week, and that's fine. There's other ways to generate pressure. We've got some pretty good defensive tackles too. If they want to use 4 guys blocking our edges, that's great for Boogie and Tonka and TJ and those guys as well. And then as far as LSU, they do a good job, I think, of mixing things up, Phil. I mean, they use multiple tight end sets, and they shift and motion and give you different looks, and they'll roll the pocket out a little bit to move the quarterback and get him on the edge. They'll keep tight ends and chip and then get out. And then certainly I'm sure they're going to feel extremely confident with their 2 offensive tackles of not giving them any help. If I'm not mistaken, the 66, the tackle, he's played 1,700 career snaps and he's given up 3 sacks. So, I'm not great at math. What is that? Almost once every 600 snaps, he gives up a sack. So I'm sure he feels pretty good going into Saturday. And the sacks he gave up were to Jared Verse from Florida State, who's in the NFL right now, Will Anderson from Alabama, who's in the NFL right now, and a quarterback scramble. So, I'm sure they're extremely confident, and it's a big challenge for our guys, and I'm excited to watch Kyle and Dylan and the rest of our defensive ends, edge group, as well as our defensive tackles, how they combat, LSU's offensive line. Told them this morning in our team meeting, I mean, what an opportunity for our guys to get to go compete against what many say is the best offensive line in the country.
Wow. How about that stat, Chris, on that offensive lineman?
That's crazy.
I mean, that's just off the charts crazy. But you know what? I mean, the Gamecock defensive line, those defensive ends, they've got a chance to really stake a claim to being elite if they have a good showing against this LSU group.
And the best duo in the country to this point. If they're able to get pressure on Nussmeier and get a couple of sacks against that offensive line, that's a way to stamp how good you are.
Absolutely. Okay, recruiting coming up.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to know you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
George Bryant for Tsunami Bar Sports, our inventor, David Abernathy, has always said Tsunami Bar technology allows us to take the training to the grass. Now I know through my sport of golf that natural agility can be converted to athletic ability. And why is this, Tsunami Robbie?
Transferring the training to the grass. This may be the most undervalued characteristic of the Tsunami flexible bar technology. The Tsunami bar action loads and unloads at the concentric and eccentric transition points. This is what we call reversal forces. And the Tsunami bar is the only bar and training device that I know of that can train these reversal forces adequately at speed.
Hey, this is Luke. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and education resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Hey, what's on television tonight? Is there a football game we can watch, say, at 9 o'clock? Counter programming? Oh, you know what you
I'm
would counter?
surprised the NFL didn't think that way.
You count anytime you got something like this, you counter program with figure skating.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to always draw people, figure skating, you know?
I'm really surprised the NFL, this is a golden opportunity that they missed. And it's rare for the NFL to miss something like this.
Well, maybe some action tonight. No action tonight on a Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's too early in the season. They don't normally get that until about October is when you start getting those Tuesday, Wednesday, and gosh, do we have Thursday? We haven't even gotten to a Thursday night college game yet, have we?
Not yet. All right, recruiting brought to you by Seawells. What do you got?
Tomorrow it's fried fish nuggets, teriyaki and lemon pepper chicken wings, and sliced beef brisket.
Ooh.
Thursday it's southern fried chicken, lasagna, and pulled pork.
Mm.
And then Friday it's a roast beef fried egg.
Oh, yeah. Got all those people coming to town. All those ESPN fat people.
Wow.
Yep. Well, they are large.
I'll take McAfee. Phil, you ought to personally invite Pat McAfee over to Seawells. He could do his show. Doesn't he have he's got a midday show. He could do that live from Seawells.
You know, I know the Seawells folks. They are high-class people. I don't think they would stoop so low.
Wow.
I don't think they would stoop that low.
Well,
to damage their reputation. Go ahead.
Well, Friday, like I said, roast beef Friday with fried chicken and teriyaki salmon.
Nice. Oh, teriyaki salmon, fresh out of the congaree. I wonder if the salmon comes already with the teriyaki on it from the congaree. Probably not. Okay, check it out. 11 till 2 every day the rest of this week. The best buffet in town for those of you coming in from the bayou. They should have probably had some sort of alligator on the menu for the LSU fans coming in. And for the best
crawfish,
the best in the catering business, a simple phone call to Seawells will handle all your needs. 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. South Carolina made an offer yesterday out to Clinton High School offensive lineman Trey Aiken. He's 6'4", 295. If you're going to recruit somebody who can block for the run, go to Clinton High School because that's what they do. They block for the run. He was very excited to get the offer.
More now too. Red Devils aren't just a ground and pound team anymore.
Yeah.
They can throw it.
Yeah, but they like to run it.
Yeah, that's in their DNA. That's who they always have been.
Yeah. So he's excited about getting the South Carolina offer. He was there for a couple of camps the last 2 years, a spring practice, the spring game. They like that he's very athletic. He's got basketball in his DNA. He was a basketball player mostly until a few years ago. Clemson is also involved. They haven't offered, but he loves Clemson, he said. And he went to the Clemson-Georgia game as a guest of Clemson. He did not go anywhere last weekend. He's going to Florida this weekend, and then he's going to go to USC for the Ole Miss game. Florida, Kentucky, Virginia Tech, Coastal, Wake Forest, NC State, Liberty, USF, and Appalachian State have also offered. More players announcing plans to be at USC Saturday in the 26th class. Offensive lineman Desmond Green, Timberland. Tight end Jamel Howes, Newberry. Receiver Ryan Mosley of Carrollton, Georgia. Receiver Gordon Sellers of Charlotte. Safety Kentavious Anderson of Dorman. Receiver Jordan Gidron of Ridgeview. Cornerback Smoke Matthews of Cornelius, North Carolina. Running back Usman Croma, Leesburg, Georgia. Running back Carson Baker, Fairburn, Georgia. 27 class, safety Joshua Dobson, Catawba Ridge. Quarterback Mason Holtzclaw of Arden, North Carolina. Receiver Teru Davis of Goose Creek. USC offered 26 running back Javon Barnett of Tampa.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's the cloud in, but we will stay dry. The low temperature dips to 62. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy all day. The high is 84. And then Thursday, our rain chances do start. 30% chance of showers in the afternoon to go with a high of 80. Shower chances double on Friday and Saturday, up to 60%, while high temperatures continue to hover in the low 80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the big three: Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and JackOliverPools.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting several days of triple-digit temperatures have stoked a wildfire in Southern California that burned so hot it created its own thunderstorm-like weather systems. But firefighters are hoping to gain the upper hand as cooler weather is expected to move into the area after Tuesday. The Lime fire has threatened thousands of homes and commercial structures as it burns along the edges of the San Bernardino National Forest just east of Los Angeles. The Israeli military has released video footage of a Gaza tunnel where it says 6 hostages were recently killed by Hamas. The video released Tuesday shows a low, narrow passageway deep underground that had no bathroom and poor ventilation. The discovery of the hostage's body last month sparked a mass outpouring of anger in Israel. More details at srnnews.com.
Some people would tell you the world's on fire right now. Well, this isn't a political message. It's a message in support of Ken and his team at Broker Solar in downtown Columbia. I love what they're doing. This is meant to remind you about something. You can't pick your power company. It's not like swapping cell phone companies every time they ask for another rate increase. You know what, though? You can take control of your power bill. You can either pay the man or be the man. You can own your own energy. You need to reach out to Broker Solar. In famously hot Columbia, when it's 100 in the shade, you won't lose power when the grid can't handle the heat. You'll have stored energy and a solar-powered battery. During peak hours, when the power company's cleaning up, you'll run off your solar panels and you'll get the last laugh. Hey, solar's not for everyone. It's a serious financial commitment with serious financial benefits. My suggestion is you reach out to Broker Solar and the guys and let them answer your questions. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or give Ken a call at 807-7417. That's 807-7417 for Broker Solar.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros of baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey, it's Jay with the Militia. When I stop by a cigar store, I always look for my go-to cigars and stock up a few of those, but I also look for something I've never tried before. Well, at the Cigar Militia, we specialize in a lot of small boutique cigar manufacturers. Come in and try a Don Kiki by Karen Berger or a Makaji by Ty Williams. We are the Cigar Militia at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard. Help us out, stock up, and review some of our boutique brands.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network on a Talking Tuesday night. Good to have you with us. Ordinarily, Josh Harris of Darlington is with us, but we've not connected with the president of Darlington at this point in time. If he gets with us, we'll bring him on board. If not, we'll hook up another night. In the meantime, Chris, let's go to Dabo Swinney, who did not talk today because it's their off week, but he did meet with the media last night while we were on just before we went on the air.
Yep.
And didn't get a chance to get any of it in. We thought we'd save it for tonight. So a few minutes with Dabo Swinney. What do we have about him coming off that win and looking ahead to this open week?
You're going to find this hard to believe, but he was extremely positive and optimistic about what he saw on Saturday. Understandably, I think even the Grinch would be excited about what they got from Clemson on Saturday with, as Dabo pointed out, 8 consecutive touchdowns. He's never been involved in a game like that. So last night he held what normally would be his Sunday night conference call, but since they played so late and did not have a game this week, figured he'd bump it over to Monday evening. Here's a little bit of what Dabo had to say about the Tigers' dominant win over Appalachian State.
A lot of positives, but still plenty of things that we can do to grow our team. Defensively, the best part was we played a lot of guys, and that will be really good for our development. It's you don't often get the opportunity to play that many guys early in the season the way we were able to. We weren't able to play a lot of guys against Georgia, so it really worked out great. And some guys got exposed, and some guys showed they were kind of ready for the show. So, but that's a great opportunity for us to teach and again develop the team. We played really good pass defense, 42% completion, 31% on third down, and created a couple turnovers. Had a bunch of PBUs. Got a chance to see a lot of young guys. Good to see Sammy Brown out there flying around. Making some tackles. AV led us in PBU. Steph Allen was one of our players of the game and really played well. So just a lot of positives, but the biggest thing defensively is they don't change the standard when you sub. And statistically there were some things that we'd like to do better, but the guys got to go play, and they've got to learn from some mistakes and clean up some of the things. But it'd be a great opportunity this week to teach off of that. And then offensively, I mean, it was just one of the best games I've ever been a part of. Honestly, I've never been a part of a game 8 consecutive touchdowns, so that was pretty amazing. Just most yards ever and a half, most points, first time since 12 to have a 300-yard passer, 100-yard rusher, and 200-yard receiver. So a lot of great things, a bunch of big plays. I think we had 13 different guys that had a big play. So just a really explosive day and running and passing. 712 yards of offense, and just no sacks. That's 2 games in a row we've given up no sacks with the offensive line. So just really proud of those guys. No offensive turnovers, 50% on third down and 100% in the red zone. Just really pleased with how we spread the ball around and all the guys that got involved. And then Klubnik was elite. I mean, that was elite quarterback play. And, he did some, it's been 25 years in college football since there's been a quarterback have that type of game. And with 5 touchdown passes, 2 rushing touchdowns, and at least 90% completion percentage. So that's pretty rare air right there. And just, I think these guys, can really gain a ton of confidence coming out of that game. And just from an execution standpoint, so it was awesome. And then again, Cade broke Taj Boyd's single game record for pass efficiency. He was ACC co-quarterback of the week. And, first time since Deshaun in 2016, multiple touchdowns, rushing and passing, our quarterback. So, just a great outing offensively. And again, got to play a lot of people. It was great to get CB in there. I was pleased with some of the things he did. He had a couple miscues had one fumble, and then he and the running back put a ball on the ground. But overall, a lot of good things on tape. Made another kick. We created a turnover in kickoff coverage. Antonio obviously had the one punt return fumble, but we had a couple of nice returns as well. So there's a lot that we can build on, and a great win for us as we get ready to head into conference play. So good momentum, good confidence. Unfortunately, we had a couple guys hurt that'll be out for the year, and you just hate it for these guys because they put so much into it. But those of us that have played the game, that's part of it too. And but Kobe McLeod, he's going to be done for the year. He's going to have surgery on his knee, and then Caleb Nix is going to be out for the year. So Kobe, a very important player for us, and then Caleb, a starter on all of our special teams, and a backup safety guy for us. But just 2 great kids, and you just hate it for those guys. So some other guys will have to step up in those roles, but both of them will be out with knee injury. But other than that, we're in pretty good shape, and open date will be very important for us to continue to build momentum, to continue to build our team. And this tape in particular, comes at a great time again because you got to play so many guys. And so we've got an extra week to coach some of these these guys that we need to develop the depth with.
Debo, Larry here. I'm assuming Peter Woods' injury is minor.
Yeah, he'll be day to day.
I think you said the other night that Tyler Brown rolled his ankle. Is he okay?
He'll be day to day as well.
Hey, Dabo, it's Pete at AP. With Kobe out for the year, who kind of steps up into that main backup role at linebacker?
Yeah, it'd be Sammy and D and Jamal. Those three guys. All of them played a lot the other night. So again, that's a really good thing that they all got that amount of experience. So those three guys, will step up and fill the void. And then we got Drew Woodaz and CJ Cooper Taylor that we're hoping to hold this year, but we'll have to see how it goes. But hopefully those three guys can step up and fill that void.
Hey, Debo, it's Chapel with the State. Looking back at the film, what impressed you most about Garrett Riley and just how he called that game on Saturday night?
Just got everybody involved early and, just got rhythm. I mean, that's what happens when you can get in rhythm and you start putting some first downs together and you're making the routine plays. It makes it a lot easier to really dial it up. So it was just a good 4-quarter game, especially the first half. But even when we subbed a lot of guys, we still did, a lot of good things and got a bunch of guys. We played 3 centers. I think that was really good. Harris Sewell has never snapped in a game. And his first college snap was, on the -1 yard line coming out. So, and man, Jay Haynes hit that thing and came out of there. So there were a lot of positives, but playing all 3 centers, getting Chappie in there, all those guys did a good job. We don't have Trent back just yet, so he's close. So, I mean, that was another positive, but, the whole staff did a great job of picking these guys up after a tough opener and really just, instilling the confidence. And I think, again, when you watch the tape from the first game, there was a lot of good things, and the guys really, I think they could see what they could do. But they also saw the importance of details and fundamentals and executing with precision. And that's what they did the other night. And again, once they got that momentum going and once they created the rhythm, it didn't matter what we played, what we called, those guys were executing at a high level.
And with Peter, I know you said you were going to send in the tape of that play to the ACC. Have you heard back from them yet? And in a situation like that, what happens if they kind of confirm what you see? Is it just kind of an acknowledgement going forward, or can anything happen from that besides just, okay, what your reading was correct on this?
No, yeah, we send that in and we'll get confirmation. We usually get that tonight or in the morning when we send stuff. We do that every week, but no, it's nothing more than, yeah, we blew it, or yeah, or we don't agree with you. You just get a confirmation that, hey, we weren't right and we'll try to get better, or no, we agree with the call that was made. So that's every week thing that happens, and it's good. It creates accountability. That our Al Riveron, the head of officials for us, he tries to hold everyone accountable for their performance. I mean, at the end of the day, our refs are people, so they're not going to be perfect. We're not perfect, but you try to create accountability, and they try to get better every week. So that's all you can do is turn it in and hopefully learn from it. And if they disagree with you, then you have to adjust on this side.
All right, Dabo Sweeney from last night talking about his team, their health, day-to-day. We're all day-to-day.
Indeed.
He's got a lot of day-to-days on there. Just looking at some things on LSU while that was playing. Of course, they've dominated the series with the Gamecocks, and, of course, they haven't played a lot over the years, but 19 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. And like I said, they've dominated home and away. They're not afraid to come to Columbia. Most of those games played in Baton Rouge. And something else, they're not afraid to play in the spotlight. They've won they won 5 in a row when game day was in town, wherever they happened to be. But they did lose. Wow. They did lose last year when they played Alabama. They lost that game 42-28. That broke a 5-game winning streak for them. They've been on game day a ton. of times dating back to 1996. They've drawn that crowd quite a bit. And you mentioned Nussmeier. Yeah, he started their bowl game. So he's in all three of his starts, he's thrown for over 300 yards. So I would imagine the pass rush and the back end play, coverage in the secondary, that's going to be the key defensively for South Carolina. You can't overlook the running game, but I mean, they like to throw the ball with this kid.
Well, and as Shane Beamer pointed out today, this will be his first true road start because he's had 2 neutral site games, the bowl game, as you pointed out, and then the matchup with Southern Cal, and then the game against Nicholls State was at home. So this will be a little different for him, but he's a veteran guy, as Beamer pointed out, and I think he'll handle it fine unless the Gamecocks get after him. And the Gamecocks made Vandegrift look pretty average, pretty pedestrian on Saturday, and that pass rush can. I wanted to go back, though, quickly to something about Dabo that it struck me when I was listening to this last night, or reaffirmed when we were playing him just a moment ago. Have you ever heard him criticize the officials?
Ever? I can't say that I've not heard him criticize the officials. I think from time to time he's never taken it across that line where I think he was going to be fined for it, but I think he's so what brought this to your attention?
Listening to him talk about the Peter Woods play. I didn't get to see it, but evidently it was a pretty gruesome play of some sort. And he talked about, refs are people too, and if they make a mistake, we're glad they are held accountable. And I just thought, you don't normally hear that from a college football coach. I found that rather interesting. He certainly has taken the high road. As long as I can remember, I don't ever remember him having a big issue with any officials in any games.
Yeah, good point. One more thing I've just discovered too, that not that I'm uncovering, earth-shattering news here. So LSU is coming to Columbia to play the Gamecocks Saturday. They open the season at Clemson next season. 2025, August 30th at Clemson. Am I reading that right? Is that right? LSU's opening the season at Clemson next year?
If that's the case, that'll be Clemson's first season opener at home in 6 years?
Something like that.
That went back during the Georgia game and looked that up because I saw somebody tweet about how Clemson never plays a home game to open the season. And you start going back, they play so many neutral site games to open the year, and then they had the Duke game last year in Durham. So, it's been a while since they've opened up the season at home. I'm sure Tiger fans are going to love that.
Well, that's going to be
whomever comes to town.
You can go ahead and probably, depending on what, if Clemson rebounds, has a great year, LSU goes on to have a great year, you can probably pencil in game day to be at that game next year.
I would think so.
I don't know what else you've got that Labor Day. I don't know what else is on the schedule for Labor Day weekend next season, but that's got to rank as one of the primo games. And then, of course, South Carolina will go to LSU next year, and Clemson goes to LSU on September 5th of 2026. I'm just looking at their future football schedule. So
good for Clemson playing those games, actually on campus, and you get Memorial Stadium, you get Death Valley. I think that's awesome. That's
I don't
the way
remember.
College football's supposed to be.
I don't remember if I actually knew that prior to this moment or not, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Looking at this series with LSU, I mean, LSU has dominated the Gamecocks. Last time they played, it was 52-24. That was Steve Spurrier's last game as a coach. That was in Baton Rouge. Before that, they beat them 45-24. Before that, only by 2. 23-21. Before that, only by a touchdown in Columbia, 24-17. Before that, in 2007, it was a 12-point game. So they've had some close ones. They played to a tie in 95. They lost to the Gamecocks 18-17 in 94. That was in the rain in Baton Rouge when they threw
I remember that game. I was going to ask you about the really low-scoring, ugly game those two played.
Yeah, and then let's see and then South Carolina. The Gamecocks actually won the first game in the series 7-6 in 1930. They should have quit right then and there. So the Gamecocks beat them in 30, and they beat them in 94, and they tied them in 95. Otherwise, it's been all LSU. All right, real quick. Today, the USC women's basketball team and other dignitaries went to the White House to be, along with the University of Connecticut, the national champions from this past college season, to be honored by the president, Joe Biden. Here is some of what Biden and Dawn Staley had to say.
Folks, welcome. Welcome to the White House. National champions, the University of South Carolina. To the families and friends, and most of all the players and coaches, congratulations on an incredible run of excellence. Incredible. I know why you're so good. You got a girl from Philly running this team. I married a Philly girl. You don't screw around with a Philly girl, man. They're tough. Julie from Philly. Coach, before you took the job with South Carolina, the women's team had just, you had been to just 2 tournaments in 17 years. And now we're here to celebrate the 3rd national championship, 2nd in 3 years. With a 109-3 record in that span. Just the 10th team ever to go undefeated in women's college basketball. That's not to say you weren't challenged all the way to your 38-0 effort. You know, you had to replace 5 starters due to the WNBA draft and graduation. And there were doubts all over about contending for the title this year. But for the record, and this is God's truth, I picked you to win. I won a lot of money. No, it's a joke. But you never gave up. You never gave up. You kept the faith, and you just finished the job. Look, take the title game against Iowa. In the back-and-forth game, everyone had to step up. 9 players recorded double digits in 9 minutes. 9. 4 players scored in double figures. Your bench outscored Iowa's bench 37-0. And here's another big number. The championship game was the most watched basketball game in 5 years, peaking at over 24 million viewers. Incredible to watch. God bless you all. And I'm going to turn it over to the coach to say a few words.
Thank you, President Biden. To my good friend, Dr. Biden, and distinguished guests, thank you for this incredible honor to stand here in the White House, a house that symbolizes hope, unity, and opportunity for all, is a moment that is not lost on me. I feel like this is a teachable moment for my team. I'm reminded of the journey of our state, our home state, South Carolina, has taken, how not so long ago, the Confederate flag was taken down from our state capitol, a symbol that represented division and exclusion. That moment wasn't just about a symbol being removed. It was about people coming together, uniting for a shared vision of progress, justice, and equality. Today, my staff, my team, and I stand here embodying diversity, inclusiveness, and unity. My hope is that this moment lands on you as my team as a powerful reminder of the beauty that can come from unifying for a common goal and doing things the right way. To my incredible staff and my relentless team, this moment is yours. I ask so much of you, and you never back down. You rise to every challenge with grace, tenacity, and heart. We stand here today because of that commitment, because of your willingness to put in work and sacrifice to achieve something greater than ourselves. We want to take a moment to thank our families, who are our foundation, our fans, or FAMs, as we call them, who would travel the globe to support us and have become our unofficial sixth man. To the University of South Carolina and the great state of South Carolina, we work hard every day to represent you well, and I truly hope we made you proud. Most importantly, we know we wouldn't be here without the grace of God. So I'd just like to say, just thank you. Thank you, everyone, for supporting our team. I want to thank President Biden for your leadership. We appreciate your service, and we hope, we truly hope that your legacy will continue in all of us. So thank you so much.
Okay, Dawn Staley finishing up her remarks. First visit for the USC women's basketball team to the White House after 3 national championships. They were invited as well after they won it in 17.
Correct.
They turned that down, said the invitation came too late. They were getting into practice and couldn't afford to miss practice to go visit the President of the United States at that time or visit the White House. So they and the university turned that down. But they went up today to be celebrated, and a great moment for the basketball program, the women's program, for Dawn Staley, and for the university. Nothing but positive stuff from that standpoint.
Oh, yeah. I mean, any opportunity you get to go to the White House, you don't turn that down. I am surprised they didn't get an invitation at all in 2022. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, this is a moment that all the players on that team will never forget.
Could have been. Maybe that was, coming off COVID a year or so before. Maybe they just weren't. I don't know. I don't know what happened there in 22 either. So, okay. Well, we just heard from Josh, and we'll miss him this week. We'll get him back regular spot next Tuesday. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, here on Sports Talk. Another big show lined up for you, of course. Can't wait to hear from Coach Ellis Johnson and Coach Chuck Reedy as they break it down on Chalk Talk at 7:05 tomorrow night. We'll have more from the Gamecock side of things and maybe drop in a Tiger or two. And Tim Beck tomorrow meets with the media. We'll have some of that as you get ready to go to Temple.
Temple, yeah.
I got to tell you a funny story. It's a Jewish thing, but it's funny as heck. There was a sports writer at the Anderson paper years ago who was Jewish. And so it was a Friday afternoon, and his mother was trying to locate him. And so she called the newsroom. And somebody answered the phone, another reporter answered the phone. And she identified herself as this reporter's mother. And she said, "Is so-and-so there?" And the person who answered the phone goes, "No, I think he just left." And she goes, "Oh, okay. Well, do you think he went to go to Temple?" And the guy responded, "No, I think he went to Maryland." I mean, I thought that was really funny back in the day. No, I thought he went to Maryland. Yeah,
I thought he went to Maryland.
Yeah, which he did go to Maryland. But
That's very good.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Corn? If you have to explain your joke, it's not a funny joke.
I got it.
I didn't have to explain that. So
no, we'll be in Philadelphia to play Temple University.
Oh, you'll be in Temple. That's right. Okay. Well, great. Well, we got all that for you tomorrow. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Everybody have a great night. See you tomorrow.